Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's been a few weeks since we've posted a video, and well, I'll dive into the reasons why towards the end of the video. But we got way behind on the comments on our videos. I've been trying to go through and catch up on those a little bit yesterday and a little bit this morning. So I pulled a few of those comments and questions off. I thought I would address them today. I don't think I've ever done this before in the comments. So we're going to pull a few of those off once in a while. I think just make that a regular thing and answer questions that pop up. And we'll just go through this real quick and answer some of these questions and address some of the comments on there. So let's just jump right into it. And again, I'll address why we haven't been on in a few weeks. And by the way, Merry Christmas, very late. Happy New Year. Anyway, let's jump right into these comments. The first one, Jake Michael, he said, he likes the station, how well it was planned out. And yeah, it turned out pretty well. I haven't ran into anything major yet that I would change. That's not saying that I won't find something, but so far I really like this new building. But he was asking a question about grounding. Now, obviously on a station like this, where it's going to be here a while, lots of antennas, lots of things out there, you want the best ground system you can afford to put in, really. But he's asking a question more along the lines of stations that you may not be in one place very long. You don't want to invest a ton of money. You've only got a few dipoles strung up, but things like that. Do you really need to invest in a ground system like this? And if not, what would you do? He's having trouble finding a decent solution to try and take care of static discharge problems and things like that. So I've been in the boat myself, lived in houses that was pretty sure we weren't going to stay there very long. Didn't want to invest a lot of time and money into something that would be left in the ground. So there's a couple, they're not great solutions, but they're solutions. One is to use the existing ground for the house. And I think he said in his comment that a lot of times he doesn't have the ability to go back to the ground for the building. And so your option there, if you can't do that, is to use the wiring in the house. Like at an outlet, you can get the ground from the outlet. I don't highly recommend that. You really never know how well that's actually grounded with all the wire nuts, the different things it goes through to get back to that main panel and then out to the ground. It's kind of a crapshoot as to how good the electrician was, when the building was built, all kinds of things. So you can do that and hook up a polyphaser to it if you want. It's better than nothing most of the time, but you can buy a short little 4-foot ground rod fairly easy. Now, if you're using outside antennas, you've got to get that coax into the house somehow. So most people are using it through a window seal. They make these nice little kits that you can bring coax through windows. You can actually mount a polyphaser right in those and ground that. So you can go get a 4-foot ground rod that hopefully you're in soil that you can just drive that in fairly easily, ground that little panel that comes through, and you've pretty much taken care of your problem right there. Now, I have seen guys that tie that into the ground system of your house. Sometimes it works, sometimes it just creates more problem for yourself because there can be quite a difference in potential between the ground point that you're using and the ground for the house. So I don't usually recommend doing that, and unless you know that ground through an outlet is really substantial. Even then, I don't really recommend it because if you do, for some reason, take a lightning strike and you've invited that into the grounding for the house through the Romex wiring in a house, you're going to cause more problems than you solve by doing that. So I don't highly recommend it. But just a simple 4-foot ground rod will probably take care of most of those little problems that you're talking about, static and whatnot. It's a lot better than nothing. It's not ideal, but you got to kind of do what you got to do when you're in a situation like that. So the next one, well, there's several. I'll just post them here. There were several comments about it's been over a year. Which radio did you pick? Which one did you keep, the TS890 or the 7610? I've still got both radios, and I've actually received emails from folks too asking the same exact question. I still have both radios. I still use both radios off and on. Which one do I use the most? It would be the TS890. And that's with some reservation. I've kind of forced myself to use that radio because I very quickly realized it had more RF-wise, it had more capability than the 7610. It's a little more flexible in being able to set up filtering, audio filtering, IF filtering, all of it. It's more flexible than the 7610. But how do I put this? It's not the radio that when I sit down at the desk, I'm used to picking up that mouse and being able to switch frequencies with the mouse on the 7610. And the 890, you just can't do that. But after I've used the 890 for a while, I actually prefer it over the 7610 just because of the flexibility of the filtering. Now on an everyday, just jump on the radio, make some QSOs, both radios are fine. In fact, most operating conditions, either one of those radios are excellent radios. You really can't go wrong with either one. I'm just leaning a little more towards the TS890. Now that I've used it more and gotten more used to it, it's more cumbersome to use. I will say that. But I do like the flexibility of it. Now, if you're looking for a dual receive radio, the 890 is not going to be for you. One of the main reasons I bought the 7610 originally was I thought that would be a feature I would use all the time. Turns out I don't hardly ever use it. So it turned out to be a non-feature for me. Again, both radios are outstanding radios. You can't go wrong with either one. It's going to be really personal preference. If you want to just a radio that you can just get on the air quickly and there's not a lot of adjustment. I mean, there's quite a bit that you can adjust on the 7610, but not as much as the 890. If you want the quick and dirty radio, kind of like the Apple product of radio, the 7610 is probably your radio. If you want to go in and tweak stuff and make it more personalized to how you operate, a little more tweaking, a lot more adjustments, the 890 is probably your radio. I'm usually not a guy that likes to tweak a lot of things. I like to I don't have a ton of free time. So when I get on the air, I just like to get on the air. But now that I've got the 890 set how I like it, I actually prefer operating it. I like the sound quality a little better on it. It's not like a huge difference. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a complete, Wi-Fi versus 1920s record difference. But there is a little bit of difference in the audio quality between those two radios. And at times I kind of go back and forth of which one's better, but I give the edge to the 890. So there's that question. I still have both radios. I'm still using both radios off and on, but if I get on to make QSOs today, it's going to be the 890 most of the time. So there you have it. Again, both radios, excellent radios. The 7610, the one feature, if it wasn't for this, I don't even know if I'd keep the 7610. The ability to use the mouse to change frequencies. To most guys, it's probably not a big deal, but having a bad shoulder and reaching across the desk to turn the dial, I don't know what it is about that position, but it drives my shoulder nuts. It just kills me. So I know I'm rambling about this, but anyway, the 7610, that's one feature I really, really liked about that radio. I could just bring that mouse in close and it didn't affect my shoulder as much. So if the 890 had that feature, hands down the 7610 would probably be sold by now. So there you have it. I think that's enough of that for right now. I'm going to try and make a video about that a little later that dives a little deeper into that, but in short, that's where we're at. Okay, so next question. I got to find these on here, so this might take a minute. And Carlos, he sent a message, please help me trying to figure out the new radio. It was a week before I seen that comment. So that's addressing your question there, Carlos. I don't want to say buy this radio or that radio, but buy whatever you think. Kind of depends on your operating style, Carlos. It's hard for me to just say this is the radio for you. I mean, some guys like the Yaesu radios. I'm not a huge fan of them myself. I've owned quite a few of them, but I'm just not a huge fan of them. I tend to lean a little bit more towards Kenwood because I like the layout of the radios a little better than the ICOMs, but I like ICOMs. Currently I probably have more ICOM radios than anything else running around. So anyway, you can't go wrong with either one, Carlos. It's going to be personal preference, really. So Mike, W1 SRR, just took delivery of a 7610, and he's asking the question, which mic should I use? That's kind of a loaded question for me because I really don't know your operating style, Mike. Are you using a headset? Are you more of a desk mic kind of guy? Are you more of a boom mic setup? I'm not really sure how to answer that directly. I've tried several different mics on that 7610. Overall, I like the quality of the hand mic, the sound quality of the hand mic better than just about anything else I've tried on it. Now, mind you, that radio from the factory is set up to use the hand mic. Whatever mic you put on there, other than the hand mic, you're going to have to adjust the treble and bass some in the settings to get it how you want it. That's jumping back to the 890. It's got a lot more of adjustment in that area. The 7610, though, you will need to adjust it some to make it sound better, whatever mic you stick on it. Now, with that said, I've tried a couple different of the boom mic style mics, and that's usually not how I operate with those style of mics. So I'm really probably the worst person to ask about those kind of mics. I've tried the PR, is it 71? I don't remember the model number, and a couple other ones. And, they worked fine, but that's not how I operate. I'm usually either on a hand mic or a headset with a boom mic on it. So out of those two, I would choose the hand mic for quality, hands down, over the two Heil Pro 7 headsets I've got. Now, I'm trying to find something nice to say about those Pro 7s besides they cost quite a bit of money. I've had them for a few years, and they're one of the purchases I'm not happy about, and I'm not regretful about either. It's kind of meh, I'm just really not sure about those things. I've got both of them to where they sound pretty good on the 7610. The overall headset I'm not real fond of. I've tried every adjustment possible on those things. They're sweaty. They give me a headache after a while. And I'm just not real thrilled with them. There is a couple things I really like about those headsets. If you got ambient noise in the room, they're excellent at cutting all that ambient noise out. Being a pilot, that's one thing. They remind me of a set of pilot headphones. They're very sound dampening around you. They work really well for that. But for in the shack, most of the time, I don't particularly need that. If I was in a high noise environment, that would be nice, but I don't particularly need it. But I'm trying to figure out more to say on that subject. Mic-wise, I think you can make almost any mic sound okay on that 7610 with some adjustment. So it's going to be up kind of your operating style. I know I didn't really answer your question, but I really don't know how to adequately address that question. Now this comment's from Dennis Baker. The comments on a video about the White Swan mine I did about a little over a year ago, I think. And he states that he believes his great-grandfather was one of the original prospectors to find that mine or the vein on that mine worked. And Dennis, I love comments like this. It really makes a connection back to our history. And anytime I see comments that people have some connection to the past of these mines, it just brings me a lot of joy. It makes me want to make more of these videos about these mines. And I get emails from time to time from folks sending me pictures about mines that they've had some connection with in the past. And I'm going to use this one as an example. Brian, I believe that's your name, that sent these to me. I don't have the note off the top of my head, but he sent me these pictures. Him and his dad visited the E&E mine up above Sumter back, I think he said about 69, and took some of these pictures. And then he went back himself in the mid 80s and took some more pictures. And the nice thing about this is documenting some history that is no longer there. These buildings are all gone. They were tore down as part of a DEQ cleanup project. So all these buildings are gone now. But thanks, Brian, for sharing these. Otherwise, a lot of this history would be lost. And if any of you have pictures of old mines that you think would be worth sharing, go ahead and send those over. The email is jack@hamhomestead.com. Send the link below. Just shoot me an email. Our old email had some problems. I missed a lot of emails on that old one. I think it was hamhomestead@outlook.com, I think. It's still active, but it still gives us hiccups once in a while. So the new one is a little better to use. But anyway, Dennis, thanks for that comment and bringing that up. I love seeing those kind of comments on the videos. So this comment is from Taras. I hope I'm saying that right. I watch you from Ukraine. Well, thank you very much. I enjoy always seeing those comments of where people are watching from. We go through and read those comments, and it just kind of amazes me that this guy out in the middle of Northeast Oregon gets viewers from all over the planet. That's pretty cool. So the last comment we're going to dive into is one from Sagebrush Rebel. He's talking about a couple videos I made about the Virtue Mine and how he would love to go explore that mine with me one of these days. And I get a lot of questions like this from folks wanting to go out on explorations. And to be honest, it would be very tough for me to do, because the way I go about this is I keep a lot of the info on the mines in folders in my phone. And when I've got a half a day free and nothing else is cropped up, I'll make a quick decision that I'm going to go visit this mine. I'll pull up the file folder for that, read about it, because I got a lot of information rattling around in my head about these old mines around here, but it's not enough to make a decent video on most of them. I would be out there just like, for instance, the Virtue Mine video stating that the amounts that were taken out of those mines, like the Virtue, I said 10 million. I think I said 20 million for the cornucopia, and it was actually 10 million for the cornucopia and about 2.5 to 3 million for the Virtue. So I have to rely on that information I've got stored on my phone. And so the way our crazy family schedule works out, a lot of the times, I don't have anything pre-planned to go out and visit these mines. It's usually spur of the moment. I pull up the information. I do a lot of research ahead of time in the evenings and whatnot. I'll dig up all this information and transfer it over to my phone. So when I'm ready to go do the video, I don't have to research it that day. I've already got it on my phone, and I can go out and make a semi-intelligent video about the mine. You can ask my wife. I hate pre-planning. I don't know what it is about it. It stresses me. My wife and her mother, they love to plan stuff out. Like, it'll be January. Hey, what are you doing on Memorial Weekend? I don't know. They like to plan that kind of stuff out months in advance, and I'm just the opposite. I don't know what it is about it that stresses me. I've been that way my whole life. Seeing a calendar full of things that we've got to do just drives me insane. So the way I work these mine videos is just spur of the moment. I've got a day or I got half a day. Okay. Sometimes I make the decision the night before, hey, I'm going to have 6 hours free tomorrow morning. I'm going to go visit this mine. About the only mine that I can think of that wasn't true on was the cornucopia when I visited it a couple years ago. I pre-planned that one out, and I've got pre-planning started on another trip up there, but when it's going to happen, I don't know. So there's that. It would be really tough to set up schedules with folks, because half the time I don't know what the heck I'm doing from one day to the next, besides my work schedule. Other than that, my work schedule, I don't mind having kind of nailed down. Away from that, I kind of like to just go with the flow. I've always been that way, just I feel like doing this today. I know I have this, but I'd rather be doing this because I changed my mind. So anyway, so why haven't we been doing videos lately? Well, I tried to get out right before Christmas and do a video on a mine. Then I tried to do the same video right before New Year's. it didn't get done. Plans changed. This is why you don't make plans, because they change all the time. Anyway, my wife hadn't been feeling really well recently, and she thought she had some kind of urinary tract infection. And then one day she's about doubled over in pain, and she started explaining the pain to me. And now I have had kidney stones for years. Ever since my teenage years, I've had kidney stones off and on. I've lost count of how many of the darn things I've had. Well, sure enough, once she explained the pain to me, I was like, I don't think you got a infection. I think you've got kidney stones. Sure enough, a couple different trips to the ER, and she's got two 2-millimeter stones side by side in that little tube in there coming down. So they've been kind of blocking things up, causing her a lot of pain. They're still in there. She's trying to get them passed, but sometimes, those things, they can be in there a little while before they come out. So prayers needed for that. We need those stones out of there so she feels better. Most days she's doing pretty good, but if you've ever had kidney stones, you know that you can go a couple weeks and feel great, and then all of a sudden the pain's back again. So, and then we've been helping my dad quite a bit. He's just turned 85 years old the other day. We lost my mom last March of last year, and they were married just shy of 65 years before she passed away. So, he's been going through a lot of changes, trying to figure out what to do with the house. They've lived in that house since 1958. All of us boys, there's 5 of us boys. We were all raised there. And so, I came along quite a bit later. So I was brought home there. Some of my other brothers moved there. But, so that's been a big adjustment, trying to help him decide what to do. And he decided he's going to sell his house and do something different. I think he's tired of looking at this big house the family was raised in without mom being there. So he just decided this fall he's going to sell it. So we've been helping him through that process. He had it sold in like 4 days. It finally just closed the other day. So we're getting, in fact, this weekend he's having a moving sale and all that kind of stuff. So we've been helping him quite a bit, going through all that change. For some reason, I become the family historian, so I've wound up with tons and tons of genealogy and family pictures and things. So I've been frantically trying to get all that scanned and on a Dropbox, so everybody in the family can access that stuff. So I've been a little busy the last few weeks trying to get some of that stuff caught up on and help him. And so we just haven't had time to make videos. It is what it is. Hopefully here the next month things are going to lighten up a little bit. We'll be able to get out and start making some more videos. But it's just been crazy. It's just this whole last year was nuts. And I don't even know what to say about 2021 with what's going on with our country right now. It's just pretty crazy stuff happening right now. I don't know where all this is going. I don't see a lot of good paths to come out of this, but hopefully I'm wrong. Anyway, okay, I'm about to wrap this up, but there's one more comment that I thought I would address real quick. And I get a ton of comments on this video. It's about the Can-Am Commander. I posted a video about a year ago about maybe we didn't buy the right side-by-side because of the way we were using it. Things have changed a little bit. We are using it a little bit more as a utility rig around the place, which is what it was originally intended to do, but we were using it just purely as a sport vehicle. And it doesn't do great at that. It's okay. It's not terrible, but there's a lot better vehicles if you're just going out in the mountains, going over tank traps and blah, 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 blah. There's better rigs. So that's, that video I posted kind of spur of the moment one day. I'm like, this is on my mind. I'm going to make a video about it. And that video just exploded for whatever reason. So I've got a ton of comments on that video. A lot of them like this. And this is from Bob Rooney. Why not just buy a Jeep 4x4 for the same price? You won't have the windshield problems and you'll have heating. Well, Bob, fair enough. It's a valid point. The thing is, and I've said this to people before, if I took a Jeep and drove it like I do that side-by-side up some of that terrain, that Jeep would fall apart. It just would. Unless you spend a lot of money building really good suspension system, you're not going to take that Jeep up some of these roads at 30, 40 miles an hour over just rock after rock. They just won't hold up. Eventually the side-by-side will break down too, but it's going to be a lot longer. You know, and guys make this point on that video all the time. Oh, you should have bought, you know, whatever. You don't need a side-by-side. Buy, you know, this Jeep or this whatever. You have heating. You can take it down the highway. Those are all true. But if I took it up the same terrain at the speeds we go, because I want to cover more than 4 miles in a day, the Jeep would fall apart. Okay, enough of that. Thanks for watching, subscribing, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Is this video blurry? Are you kidding me right now? It's just pretty crazy stuff happening right now. I don't know where all this is going. I don't see a lot of good paths to come out of this, but hopefully I'm wrong. Anyway, that's where we're at, why we haven't been making videos. It took me about 6 takes to take that. The first 3 or 4 times I just kind of, yeah.